Good morning. This is day 3 of my journal. I wanted to talk about a conversation that I had yesterday with one of my best friends. He's been struggling with taking the weight of the world on his shoulders and finding it difficult to trust the people around him to have his back if he were to open up. It's not necessarily that he didn't believe that we would have his back. It was that he had been mistreated in the past, so he was scared to open up. And also it was because that was a leap of faith that he didn't know if he wanted to take. I had a conversation with him just yesterday, and I was walking around my neighborhood, and I could tell he wanted to get something off his chest. But he wasn't going to open up unless I pushed him. And I was scared to push him. But because that's what I've been working on, I could recognize that. And I could be brave through the conversation and listen to what he needed. And the way that I went about it was in a caring manner. And I let him know that I was there for him. I let him know that whatever he needed to say, he just had to trust me. I let him know that the first step was being brave. And that bravery is not without fear. It's acting in spite of fear. And I did not come up with that. I heard it on a podcast, and it's exactly what bravery is. It's feeling the fear and acting how you want to anyways. And I told him that. And then I told him there was nothing that he could tell me that would make me think less of him, because he is incapable of the actions that would cause me to think less of him. He could tell me anything he was struggling with, and I'd be able to at least listen, and he'd know he wasn't alone in this world. And then I sat there. And I waited until he responded. And it was quite a few seconds before he said anything. And when he did, he opened up about the weight. He opened up about the weight that he had been carrying for months, and what he realized had been years of feeling like he was the only one. He was the only one around him that was a burden to everyone that he had ever talked to. And how alone that made him feel. And how strong he had to pretend to be because he was nervous and afraid that he would be alone and people would leave him if he let them know he was struggling and felt like a burden to them. He said more things that I won't share, but when he finally got done, I sat there for a minute and let it rest. He made me cry a couple times. A couple times of sadness, but a couple times of happiness. I teared up because of how much I saw him put his real self into that conversation, even though he was scared about it. And I just love having good conversations. And I love when people can feel like they can be themselves, because that's what I try to be. We talked about We talked about what he wanted out of life and friendships and what he wished it could be. And I let him know that what he wanted was on the other side of those scary conversations that so far he was unwilling to have, but he had started yesterday. He had started that day with the conversation we were having. I had to talk to him about something that had happened with the friend group, and I was uncomfortable talking to him. And I've been working on this for years. And I told him he needed to be patient with himself and have that fear and feel it and act in spite of that fear. I think we all feel the fear of having that tough conversation and not knowing the outcome. We think that because we bring up in a situation where people will be uncomfortable and feelings could be hurt, but the conversation comes from a loving place, it will have better consequences than we think. The outcomes that come from conversations like those will be much better than our darkest fears. And if they're not, then the person on the other end, they haven't grown to the point where they can have those conversations. And that part is out of our control. But the part you need to focus on if you're going to have these conversations is 1, come from a place of love. 2, learn to communicate in a way that expresses what you mean, but in a caring manner. And 3, you got to be brave through the fear that you're going to feel. Inevitably, you're going to be afraid of that conversation, but it is something that you need to do. You yourself will grow as a person, and the possibilities that you have to make better connections with your friends or your family or your coworkers or whoever you need to have those tough conversations with, it's going to be worth it. You will be scared. Act in spite of that fear. I was having a conversation early last week with a friend, and we were talking about how feelings are not controllable. It's not worth the effort put in to control feelings. I used to meditate on how to control my feelings. And what I realized was I was just dampening the experience of my feelings. And the real power of meditation comes from the not acting in spite of how you are feeling. You can always choose your actions, your next step in whatever situation you're in. Don't try to control the feelings around it. Act in spite of those feelings. If you're angry, but you're dealing with someone you love, act in love. If you're feeling sad and depressed and you don't want to move, that's okay. It's okay to be depressed and have sad moments. Act in spite of that. Go to the gym in spite of that. Go for a little walk in spite of feeling like that. Make sure you take care of yourself in spite of feeling like that. If you're struggling, the best reframe that I've been able to have is to act as the person that your mom thinks you are. If you act as the person that your mom believes you are, at least in my life, I've seen big differences. When I try to act as the man I want to be and the person that my closest family and friends think I am, I end up becoming and acting a little bit better than I would if I hadn't reframed it like that. I've been I've been trying to do stuff lately. You can call them side quests. I've been trying to do any activity that I've always wanted to do because I realize I just can. I can just start doing stuff. And you can too. You can just start. You will suck at it. It'll take you a while to learn, but you will get better and better and better. A perfect example of this and an idea that I was taught was through a laser printer that I bought off Amazon. It's a little cheap laser printer. The instructions were terribly translated, and I was so excited to use it, and it took me 4.5 hours to set up and to finally understand how to use it. I thought it was going to be a plug and play and minimal learning time. All the comments said 30 minutes. All those comments were translated from Chinese, and they were able to read the instructions that were in Chinese and set it up. I did not realize this until after I had bought it. So I had to figure it out myself. There was no videos on YouTube. There's no instruction manual that made any sense, and there was nothing online to help me. But I remember the sense of power and the sense of happiness that I had when I finally got to start on my first project. And my first project turned out really good. It was a car that I had done, and I had guessed on all the settings and happened to do good. And then my next few projects were shit. And I was discouraged, but kept learning. And I still make mistakes, but I have so much fun with such a simple tool that I thought was going to be easy to learn and set up. But putting in that effort, I figured it out. And sitting there watching my projects get done, and I see the number on my laptop that has 200,000 lines that it has to complete. 200,000 lines of code to complete my art project, and it's going to be done in a couple hours. I realize that's how we do anything in life. It's like that old adage about eating a whale. It's that first bite that is the hardest, because you see the entirety of the whale that is before you. But focusing on that next bite, little by little, keeping your head down while you work, you end up eating the whole whale, and you're not quite sure how you did it. All you know is you focused on the little things, and line by line, just like the laser printer, your project gets done. Whatever you're working on gets done. I don't have time to work on all of my projects that I want, all my little side quests every day, but I get to choose a couple once I get home from work or when I'm up early like this. I wanted to have the video diary, so I started waking up 30 minutes earlier so I could do a 30-minute recording and get it posted before I go to work. A couple times a week, I do woodworking projects because I love them and it's relaxing to me. A couple times a week, I try to take my girlfriend out and go on dates and make sure that she knows she's valued and cared for and is worth the effort to go on these dates and that she is a priority to me. A couple times a week, I try to go to dinner with my parents so that we can have conversations and reconnect. A couple times a week, I try to read. A couple times a week, I'm trying to write a book. So I write a few paragraphs of the plan and the actual contents that I want to have in it. It won't be done. All of these projects that I'm working on won't be done as fast as if I worked every single day on that project. But over the course of months and years, I get to achieve things just because I'm trying, putting in a little bit of effort consistently throughout the week. Just a little bit makes you better. A good example of this is my Duolingo streak. I spend about 3 to 10 minutes every single day on Duolingo, and I have not missed a day in over 1,200 days. I am not fluent. I don't speak very well, but I read quite a bit, and I read quite a bit more than I did 1,200 days ago when I started, because I put in little bits of effort. Everyone has 5 minutes to put towards something that can better them. Everyone. I started listening to podcasts instead of music at work. I work in an auto shop. I have sound deadening headphones that I have to wear anyways. They play music. They play sounds. I listen to audiobooks and I listen to podcasts. And I've realized how much my life has changed because I made that switch from a little bit of time that I was wasting with the music. Not a bad time, it was still just fine. But I changed it into something slightly more productive. And my life changed. I started having deeper thoughts. I had a more complex vocabulary because I was listening to books that were written in spoken tongue that is from many years ago. I was listening to scientific podcasts where I learned about the most recent studies, and I could be more well-rounded in my view on the world and in philosophy and politics and science and sports and whatever there is out there. But that little shift made a big change as time went on. I've only done this for about a year now. And the difference between me from a year ago and me today is dramatic. And I promise it'll be the same for you if you start doing the things that you want to do just because you want to do them. Within legal parameters and within moral bounds, you can do just about anything you want to do. You can just start. Start trying. If you want to start recording yourself and posting it online, you want to make content, you want to be a comedian, you want to be a scientist, you want to be anything, start working towards it. It's never too late until you're put in the ground. So until that point, keep trying to be better. Keep working to make something of yourself that you can say you're proud of, because that's what matters. When I get to my final days, if I can look back and I'm proud of what I've done, I will feel like I've lived a life full of love, full of happiness and peace, more importantly, peace, and feel like I made a difference. There's a lot of us out there in the world, and it's daunting to try to think that we could make a difference. Who are we to think that we can do something that can impact this world? But I promise you that all the people that have shaken the fabric of our reality and changed the world with the companies they started or the projects they started or the inventions that they brought into this world, they weren't necessarily thinking that everyone would understand their vision. And they weren't thinking that they would change the world. They just started working. So my challenge today, do something that you want to do because you want to do it. And let me know how it goes. Pick something small. If you've always wanted to go on that hike, if you've always wanted to read that book, if you've always wanted to tell this person how you feel, do it. Because your life is the life you want is on the other side of the bravery required to have those hard conversations and to start the projects that you most desire. There's something in us that calls for something more than we are. I was listening to a Chris Williamson podcast on modern wisdom, and he was talking to a guest, and he brought up the quote, "I felt like I could hear my better self clearing his throat in the next room." Go open the door. Let him in, let her in. See what the better you looks like. If you've always acted a certain way, start today, changing the way you act, the way you want to act. You don't have to be stuck. Doesn't matter how you were raised. It doesn't matter what you believed before. Start shifting those beliefs with action. It's the quickest way to change your mind. Let me know how that goes. I would love to hear from you guys. And I look forward to seeing you tomorrow.